From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training Podcast. I'm going to be one of the hosts for this episode. My name is Bill. Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicky.
Are you awake this time?
I am. I was having a rough time on my last podcast.
You were. Really you did too much pre-podcast
yes.
activities. So.
I did. I was a busy girl.
Well, luckily for you, we have a guest that's worth all of your energy.
Okay. Former
Lemons driver on the Lemontarians who retired / upgraded, which from the Lemontarians, really, it's not that much of an upgrade to do anything, really. She's now Lemons judge of the official Lemons Tribunal of Judges. I don't know if it's tribunal. That sounds really good, though. But anyway, welcome to the podcast, Janis Jerman. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Good to be here. Good to see you guys.
It is fun. So when you were with the Lemontarians, when you were racing, which car were you involved with, or cars were you involved with? Because those guys are a bit of a blast and
very creative.
Yeah, that works too. I was going wild card, but and definitely a smoke show. But
yeah, their cars do run most of the time.
Most of the time.
Creative is a good description.
Yeah,
our cars do run most of the time. And when I started, so the Lemontarian started, I think, in 2009 with a Prelude. And after blowing quite a few engines in the Prelude, we moved on to the Neon, which is what I primarily drove. We had a short stint with we added a Citation X11. And then, of course, everybody knows the Caddy, the big number 33 Caddy.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Chandelier on top, which I have not had the privilege of driving, but I was primarily in the Neon, which was a pretty reliable car and a lot of fun. So, yeah.
So how did you get started with all that?
Oh, let's see. Our captain, Kenny Jones, who just, I don't know, brings me into all kinds of crazy things. So when it started, I think it was the very first race that Lemons did at Stafford in Connecticut. And so Kenny had this great idea that we would do it as a fundraiser for our Rotary Club because, $500 car seems like a quick, easy, simple thing to do. So that's how we started. Got sponsorships to be a fundraiser. And then it just kind of went on from there because we realized you really can't make money.
No.
So
you can spend
you burn money in lemons.
You burn money. Yes, we've burned a lot of money. So we did do a couple of fundraisers over the years for Rotary, but for the most part, we just did it for fun. And so I think the way we got started is that Kenny had a high school friend who lives in California now and was more familiar with lemons in California. And he heard that there was going to be a race in Connecticut and said, we got to do this. So we did it. What the heck? Why not?
How hard can it be?
It just said yes. Why not? It's only $500.
Yeah, get a car, paint it yellow, come up with a catchy little name. Easy peasy.
So what was your themes that year?
So the first couple of years with the Prelude, I don't know that we had a specific theme. We painted the car yellow. When we were doing the fundraiser, we were selling lemonade, doing kind of that, kind of fundraiser thing. But we had a number of themes over the year. We did the bookmobile once. We did the big wedding with with both the Neon and the X11. What else did we do? I don't know. Usually Houghton was in charge of getting us crazy costumes and whatnot and coming up with themes for the cars as a group, sort of a group thing. So lots of different kind of crazy. Oh, one year we turned the Prelude, actually the last year we turned the Prelude into a golf cart.
Oh,
And
that's
that
cool.
was a lot of fun until the point that it took its final death. And the best part of that was taking those golf clubs and just beating the crap out of that car to send it off to its grave.
Its final resting place.
Yes.
It's not so bad. So do you think you could be tempted out of retirement if the caddy had a seat?
Oh man, I wouldn't mind taking a spin in the caddy.
I would think that would be
I wouldn't
awesome.
mind that at all. I was asked at the end of the race last October at Loudon when I judged by a team who said, do you want to race again? Because we might have a seat available next year. And I was like, I don't know, judging's pretty cool, but the caddy would be a pretty good enticement.
I think so. I think it's high on my list of, we have this one question later on. We refer to it as the claw question, like that old claw game. And you get to take it and you put the claw on somebody's head and you pop them out and you pop yourself into the car and you choose where you want to go. The caddy's high on my list of claw game substitutions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The thing's a beast.
It is. It's so wide. And then when you're going around the turn and it starts slipping, it takes up I'm not saying the whole track. I'm saying the whole track.
The whole track.
It rumbles through.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the caddy's like 4 times the size of the Neon, so I think that would be a little bit of an adjustment. So.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the gas it has to go through?
A lot. I'm thinking we could put our one Civic. I think we could put that in the trunk and probably close it. We just have to move some of the bodies out of the trunk, but that's okay.
That's right. I will never contest how many bodies we actually keep in that trunk.
You got to get traction in the back somehow. That's fine. So, I guess there's a little bit of a jump between like, hey, we're going to raise money for the Rotary and like getting the racing bug and getting into it. How did we go from one to the other? Because it's there's a little bit of a gap there.
Well, there is, except Lemon. So you get there and it's just such a great group of people and we had so much fun. And it's interesting because most of the folks on our team I really either didn't know well or at all. But we just started having so much fun. And so the next thing you know, it's like, oh yeah, that Rotary thing. Okay, whatever. We're in. Like we're in. It's fun. We're committed to it. It's part of a community, feeling like a part of the community. And you don't want to miss anything. You don't want to miss a race. And, in New England, when there's only a couple of them a year, you got to get on that roster.
Well, luckily one of them's in August. So that's just lovely.
Oh, that's the brutal one. Oh, it's so bad.
Oh, we love August at Thompson when it's 112 degrees with 400% humidity
and no wind.
No wind at all. Love that.
There's no wind. One of our a team that we're trying to help, they're going to their first ever race in a couple weeks at New Jersey. But I was just talking to them on Instagram, and they're like, well, we're thinking about getting a rental RV for Thompson. I'm like, get the rental RV. It's you can't have a place to survive / shelter / stop sweating on site is so much of a big deal. Just get it. Just so.
Yeah, it's funny because at any of the other races at Loudon or in New Jersey or when we did Monticello, whatever, you're just out kind of hanging out, running around, checking out what people are doing, just here, there, back and forth over to HQ. But at Thompson, you're like, just sit in the RV and keep the AC cranked and keep drinking water and don't have to suit up to go, gas the car, for a pit stop until you absolutely have to.
Right. We end up getting those cool towels that hold the temperature in the towel and just I think I got like 6 packs and there was like 4 or 5 to a pack. And I was handing these things out. I was just dunking them in water, just like, hey, you're hot, here, take this.
And one to everybody.
It was like a neck air conditioner. It was pretty awesome, but just to survive.
Yeah.
Just there. I mean, you want it to rain sometimes just so you can go out and cool off.
You want the humidity to go down if it just rain.
Yeah, that's our most brutal one for sure.
It's fine though. It's okay.
Yeah.
So since you've graduated and elevated your station in life beyond Lemon's racer to Lemon's judge, what do you think would what do you think we should do, or you would recommend for people who are thinking about getting out on track and starting this up? What do you think that they should do, and what's something that they shouldn't do? And if you have any stories, we love stories.
Yeah, well, they should have fun. They should come with a good theme. They should have a good sense of humor and know that they're not there to win NASCAR. And
Nope.
don't be a jerk. It's pretty simple. Like, have fun and don't be a jerk. I think it's like the biggest
Right.
the biggest
not that
advice or the
hard.
best advice. It's really simple to get out there and, have fun, and you can challenge yourself in your car without being a complete jerk. And then I think, one of the things about, I think, being a judge that was really fun was, when you're racing, you're so busy, getting your costume together at the last minute, prepping for tech or BS, or, there just might be one little last minute thing to do on the car.
Yeah,
And
just
so
once in
on
a while.
Friday, we just, never really saw people in all their glory of their theme and their costumes and kind of doing up their shtick. And so that was great. Being a judge is really having an opportunity to see like every car come through, and it's funny just to see the folks who just wholly embrace it 100%. And the folks who are like, we're just here to race. We just got a plain colored car and whatever. We're just going to get out there. But you can still have fun, even if
Orange
you
is
don't go
orange is
full-fledged.
not a theme. Orange is not a theme.
Orange is not a theme.
Yeah, a lot of that at the last, a lot of that is, black is not a theme, blue is not a theme. Like, just give us something. A little song and dance, doesn't have to be much, but just give us something. Just, make it worth our while.
Gray/silver, also not a theme.
Yeah, silver, definitely not a theme.
Not a theme.
So how did they pull you over into judging?
I don't know. Jay talked to me a couple times like, hey, do you think you might be interested in this? And I was like, well, maybe, but I'm still racing and could really judge and race the same race. And so I think once we retired the neon and we all kind of thought about, gee, are we going to do something else? Or is this kind of the end of that? And I mentioned it to Jay, and next thing I knew, I got an email from Eric saying, hey, we need you. Get over here. Get yourself up to New Hampshire.
Not a bad one to start with. It's a little aggro, but
Well,
Yeah.
my whole perspective is so funny because some of the judges say, oh, you got to get outside of New England because the other races, it's so different. And all I know of Lemons is New England and some good Northeast aggro. So, I don't have to compare it to.
it's amazing how many ways they can mess up New Hampshire. It's
Mhm.
spectacular. Anyway.
Yeah.
So-
So, how many races have you done so far with the judging?
One.
Wow.
One.
Okay.
was
So
just
deeply experienced, as you can tell. One.
All right.
So
I'm
in
on
that,
target. I'm scheduled for 2 this year.
Okay.
which ones are you doing?
We'll be at Thompson with my neck cooling towel, and at Loudon.
Well, we'll see you at Loudon. We're going to miss our first Thompson ever, so that's going to be a bit of a bummer. But we'll bother you. Don't worry. It'll
All
be
right.
fun.
I look forward to seeing you.
We'll get there, and hopefully we can have the weather we had last year, because that was borderline spectacular.
That was sweet. That
Yeah.
definitely was
Mhm.
good New Hampshire weather.
Yeah, I mean, late October in New Hampshire, you're not doing any better than last year. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
So, do you have any races that you'd like to travel to? Get your feet dipped in the water somewhere else?
Oh yeah, I would go anywhere. I mean, I think just seeing sort of the different regions and different teams, it's great in New England because, just having been involved since 2009, know, a lot of the teams and folks, and that's great. But I think it'd be really cool to hit any of the other tracks. And I've been kind of looking I'm originally from the Midwest,
Mhm.
and my dad used to come out for all our races. So I'm thinking of heading back to the Midwest and maybe taking him to a race somewhere out there, just even if I'm not judging, just to kind of see what it's like and check out the tracks. So I can't say that there's one that's like, oh, well, I would love to go to, blanking on the name of it, the one where the Sunken Corvette Museum is.
NCM.
Yeah. So it would be kind of fun to go down there.
So before they start lobbying, I just want to make sure you're aware that even though it's Atlanta and nicknames Hot Atlanta and it's South, and it's not that hot in December in Atlanta. Just not hot, not hot at all. My God, was it cold? But it's okay. Okay. All right. So we've got that. So looking at it from a competitor perspective, you had, part of the fun of lemons is the bribing and seeing the bribes and doing some of the bribing / theming. But now that you're a judge, do you have any that you look back on and said, if I was a judge, I wanted to see that, or there should be more of those, or what do you think?
I think in terms of themes and bribes, I
Mhm.
think, as we said, gray is not a theme. I'd
Not a
love
theme.
to see the themes where like the whole team gets into it and it's not just like, well, we painted the car to look like Wonder Bread and isn't that nice? Like, but you get the whole team into it. Everybody's got the costumes going and everybody's kind of staying in costume through the weekend. And I also think it's nice when it's a theme that somebody understands, because some of these folks come through and you're like, I don't even get it. I don't know what that means. Like,
Mhm.
what is this obscure thing?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you're looking for the 100% known, and that's too easy. We have to be kind of more towards
Little
50%.
fringe, little on the fringe.
Yeah, fringe is definitely good because you don't want it to be like, oh yeah, whatever. That's what
Oh,
I think,
wait,
it's
a
been
Smokey
done
and the
12
Bandit
times kind
theme.
of thing,
Ooh.
Yeah.
But something
That's-
that like really creative, and even if it requires a little bit of a clue in our just description, that's okay. But yes, just thinking like way outside the box. And I know sometimes see on Facebook, people are like, has anybody done this theme or that thing? Been done, been done, been done. So seeing
There's
something
very
just
little that hasn't been done right now.
yeah, seeing something really unique. And I think at some point, especially, like in New England, I think we know a lot of the cars. And it's like, yeah, that was a great theme the first time they did it in 2011. But,
Yeah.
47 races later, maybe
Yeah.
not so much. Yeah. And in terms of bribes, I mean, personally, anything with peanut butter or chocolate in it is always good with me.
So a Reese cup bag would not be opposed.
Oh, can't go wrong with chocolate and peanut. We also can't go wrong with bourbon. So, but it is kind of funny. Some of the bribes that come in, again, like really creative. Some folks come in with like the beer or wine that has a car theme or something.
Mhm.
Okay, that's fun. But some of the stuff that comes in just really, again, creative, matching the theme and showing some thought into it. It's just, I don't know, it's fun. It's really fun.
Mhm.
Please.
What is normally involved beyond just, judging people or, throwing penalties out? What is normally involved in the responsibilities when you become a judge?
So I think like the biggest thing over the course of the racing weekend, the Saturday, Sunday, is, obviously trying to come up with some creative penalties for those who deserve to spend some quality time off the track.
Mm.
But I think one of the biggest things is really kind of understanding that, nobody's perfect, right? And sometimes people come in, they'll be like, but I didn't make contact. The corner work. Well, the corner worker's the corner worker. They saw what they saw. They didn't see what they didn't see.
Mhm.
You're just here. And so I think it's really important, like the message we want to impart is that Lemons is about having fun, but it's also about being really safe and not being really stupid. And
Mhm.
so I think, just kind of taking some time to say, we just need you to hear us about what the corner workers do or don't see, or what we need you to do or not do so that, we can have a safe experience out there. And so I think a lot of it is just figuring out, like, how do you need to communicate with certain people in different, some folks just got in the car, they did one lap and something went awry. Other folks, they've been in for 2 hours and it's maybe time for them to get out. So I think just kind of reading people in terms of what their experience is, maybe what their exhaustion level is, their heat exhaustion level is at Thompson,
Yeah.
and really just sort of paying attention to that, because overall, like, I think to me, I take the responsibility seriously of this is about safety, and we want to
Mhm.
have a lot of fun, and we joke around, and there's a lot of heckling, and we want to have some funny penalties that make people think about what happened and, maybe spend a few minutes off track. But, at the core of it is really just making sure everybody's safe. And sometimes there's folks who just don't realize how, you get out there and you get in a zone and you just don't realize how kind of zoned out you are. And maybe you need a moment to refresh, or nobody wants to be told it's time for you to get out of the car, but sometimes it's time for you to get out of the car, or it's time for you to hydrate, or it's time for you to check your blood sugar level, or, whatnot. And I think for me, it's really sort of maintaining a balance of fun and levity with, like, this is dangerous or potentially dangerous, and really the safety is the key thing. And I've been fortunate in my many one races that I've judged is, I haven't had people who have been complete jerks that I've really had to, kind of deal with from that standpoint. So I think really it's just, have fun, be safe, understand what's going on out there, and, just pay attention and have fun.
I think one of the ones that stands out to me was when Red Misty Racer McRacerson came in complaining that they black flagged his car, and he was told that he'd gone off, and he's like, I never went off, and his car is just literally caked in grass and mud, and I'm just sitting there going, dude, you are approaching this whole penalty situation from the wrong perspective. This is going to get ugly. And I think this was back when Steve was still there, and he just sat there and listened for a little bit, and then ever so politely in a very nice and a Southern manner told him to go park his car.
Yeah, I remember one where they were like, well, no, we didn't make contact with anybody, and we just painted our car and everything's fresh. And I'm like, well, so what's that big red streak down the side of your black car then?
Yeah.
Oops.
Go talk to your teammates about that and get back to me on that.
Yeah. Apparently you missed a spot.
Yeah.
But you are correct, is that, being out, depending on the amount of stints that people do, and those stints do last anywhere from, 45 minutes to upwards 2 hours or half a day. People push it. They're like, I was just, watching a show, the GHiT show. I'm just not, And, one of the teammates was saying that only 2 drivers were racing that day. And you have to work up to that, because it's not just physical, it's mental.
Yeah.
And to maintain that mental clarity.
And bladder.
And bladder. Well, you know what? I've heard some people don't.
Well, I'm just saying.
And they just share the seat. That has happened.
That's when you want to go first.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when you're in it. In the ratings. But you're right, is that some people they zone out or they become aggressive. They lose the reason why they're out there.
Yeah.
And it's not racing a person as much as it's racing a track. And that would, I've brought this up before. That was one issue that we used to have with my son, who had begun racing, because racing to him on every TV show that he's ever watched regarding racing was, you're racing a competitor. But there's so many cars out there that you can't race everybody. You just got to race yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because, like, you were talking about the timing. So when for those of us who drove the Neon, we would do 2-hour stints. And you think, I drive from Connecticut to Indiana. It's like, I can drive 2 hours, but it's a different game. And especially, someplace like Thompson, where you're trying to hydrate, but you're like, okay, at what point do I get my bathroom break? And, and there's a lot going on, and it's easy to just be like, you know what? I'm 20 minutes in, I still have a long way to go.
Right.
And so, you're not listening to a book on tape or your radio, or you're just in this loud zone of like,
and with a lot of stuff going on and a lot of things you have to pay attention to. And you do know when you zone out, because you're just like, oh crap, I don't even remember doing that one turn, or missing the turn, or you're just too comfortable in the seat. And when you're
really starting to worry me right now. When
you're too comfortable in the seat, then you're just like, I am losing mental. I'm losing that mental sharpness.
Yeah. Like, a lot of times I would try and say, like, okay, I'm at that point where you're just in that, you've been in for over an hour and you're kind of just starting to get in that zone. And so, like, each lap, kind of like you were saying about, instead of racing against a competitor, is sort of thinking like, hey, in this lap, I want to try and do a better job in how I corner over here, or I want to think about, like, just sort of different aspects of it, or how and it's funny because every corner go through the same corner, 100 times, but it's different because there's different cars around you. Sometimes you're by yourself. Sometimes you're in a cluster. Sometimes you're with that fast guy who's now lapped you 3 times, or at least you think he has, but turns out he pitted and you didn't know. And so like that whole, like, I can't believe he passed me. Okay, I got to do something. Oh yeah, I see. He just came out of the pit. Okay, never mind.
Right.
So I think there's so many games you can play with yourself, some which are really good to kind of keep you mentally sharp, and some which just get you maybe like, oh, road rage, I've got to get that guy. And so I think it's, being really careful not to get to that point where your competition is focused on the wrong thing. And always remembering, like, we're here to have fun. If you win some nickels, that's great, but kind of keep your focus on what's important here.
So with the vast judging experience that you have, perhaps you can think back upon it from from your racing days, but let's go over penalties. What's some of the ones that you've seen, perhaps you've even given it, and what are the ones that stand out? And is there a penalty that you're really looking forward to giving to somebody someday?
Oh, in terms of the actual penalty infliction?
Exactly.
Oh, gosh, let's see. Well, I'll tell you, when we were racing, one of the things we at Stafford is that we actually, when we did the prelude with the golf cart theme, we actually created a penalty for the judges. We created this great, crazy putt golf things that we put people through, and that was really fun. Let's see. I think giving people an opportunity to show their artistic outlet, whether that's through song, dance, or art, is always a joy.
No, do not give that to her. Do not give that to her.
That's the best one.
She will paint for 2 hours, the Bob Ross painting. It's ridiculous. She won't let it go until it's done.
Yeah. I think a classic is the writing on your car 100 times, I will not, whatever, pass under yellow, or whatever the heinous crime was. It's always a classic. And I think one of the things about that, and I got to implement that in Loudon last year, and it was great because the whole team comes over and they're all in it, and it's sort of like, this one guy was on the track and did something, but it's a team effort, and they were all there, and it's kind of, going through it and having fun, and just sort of reminding them, like, oh yeah, that's what happened, and yeah, we get it. We realized the third time we passed under yellow probably wasn't cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't cool the first time either.
No, it wasn't.
FYI.
It wasn't.
There was one that they had done on one of the cars that somebody had been writing S's for suck. It came from the book, but they actually used it as a penalty. So that was really funny.
Yeah. I always like, always fun too, to see somebody like shrink wrap to the top of their car with a bullhorn going through the paddock,
for the most severe penalties,
style of, having to announce the heinous crime that they have committed,
yes,
on track. But I'll tell you, one of the, I don't know, sometimes people don't get it. One of the most heinous crimes is the whole speeding in the pit.
Yeah.
And it just kills me when you got a couple of judges standing there just kind of watching people go by, and somebody speeds the wrong direction around the garage. It's like, you guys, this is the easy part. This is the really easy part. You don't get it. So sometimes we're flagging people down for things that did not occur on the track.
Yeah, we saw somebody get invited to leave when they did that.
Ooh.
It was not pretty. That was not good. Surprise.
Well, in my vast experience as a judge, I've not yet had to evict anybody, but I've been working on you're out of here. So on that, 'cause someday it's going to come in handy.
Not the goal, but
not the goal at all.
If you choose to show your capabilities, it is within the capabilities to be invited to leave. So besides the fleet from the Lementarians, all right, which cars stand out to you over the years that you've seen, or perhaps even wanted for some unknown reason? Could be because it was so good, or it could be because it was so bad that you perhaps wanted to get a chance at driving.
That's a really good question. Aside, of course, from the caddy, which is top of the list.
Given.
Top of the list.
I think it needs to have the dragster back on top, but that's just me.
Yeah, that was a fun year too. Years. No, I mean, I think, sometimes you see a car that you just think, how is that even on the track and making laps? And you just wonder, like, what would you like to drive that little guy going around? Because he's so slow, and I love that he's out there because I can just whiz past him all the time, and it just gives me such a great sense of accomplishment to be
Mhm.
flying by this guy. I'm trying to think if there's any specific ones that are
Could be
kind
just
of
the theme
high.
too.
What's that?
Could be just the theme. Doesn't have to be a
Yeah.
I want to drive it car. It could be a I can't believe somebody made a car that blah 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 blah.
Yeah, some of the cars that are sort of the regular kind of folks at the, in the top three, top of the pack, who are sort of regular winners in like A class or something. Sometimes I think I want to drive one of those and see if it's really fast and how much the car is fast versus the driver is fast, and kind of
Mhm.
see what that equation,
Mhm.
kind of looks like. So
Captain's log supplemental.
Miss Vicky, we've been racing for a while.
Yep.
One of the things you've wanted forever and ever was something simple and easy to get the video, because you've not been happy with everything we've tried.
Nope.
And we've tried a lot.
Well, the issue that we've always had was that we always never got around to video. We kept trying, but things kept happening.
Even when we did, I can't count the number of times I have GoPro video from Jennifer turned into the GoPro on to get out of the car, and then turning it off to get into the car and start racing. I mean, we've all done it.
That was a problem with the GoPro is because of the positioning, is that we could never really see the on and off button, and the battery was really short.
But I think we found a solution.
I think we did. I did. So we now have the Sentinel system.
Yes.
And oh my gosh,
rumored, finally here.
I know. And honestly, it was incredible. Just, like, my mind was blown sitting there watching, my sister drive or watch our friends drive in the car. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm. We got to have it displayed at the track in the paddock. We were watching it pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that the only downside to the Sentinel system is it cuts down on my steps, because I end up staring at the camera.
This is true.
Instead of walking around the paddock, but I guess I'll get my exercise in another way. So just wait until we get it integrated with the AIM system, and then we have all the telemetry. That'll be fantastic.
Right. So right now it shows you can put your logos on it. It determines who's in the car. It has speed, and it has video. And yep, obviously you could put more cameras to it. But what I liked about it the most was that all you have to do is put the box in. And I mean, you can leave it in your car, obviously, but it's ready to go.
You know what we had to do at the second race?
What?
Put in a memory stick.
Yeah. The memory stick, yes. And the memory stick.
Start the car.
That's right. And the video was clear, it was crisp, and it was just amazing that we had that length of time on video. Because normally before we would only have these little pin shots of
15, 20 minutes.
Right. Before the battery would die, or
it would turn itself off.
Or we would forget to turn it off. And we would have just nothing happening.
Or turn it on, or get off on our on and off and have it turn off when we need it on and on.
Yeah, but this was a steady video for hours, and it was really cool. I loved it. I really did.
Well, I'm glad you're happy, because as with every married couple, when you're happy, I'm happy. And I don't sleep in the tub for, another reason that I didn't even do it, but that's fine. So, all right. So now we're going to use it over and over and over. We got another upcoming race. It'll be fantastic. And they're posting it on our YouTube channel if people want to get bored. It's a great way to fall asleep.
You are so self-deprecating.
I'm even better when I'm self-deprecating.
Deprecating.
That too.
What about do you have a favorite lemon story that ever happened, an event that happened to you, or around you, or even in the series alone?
Yeah, so a story that often gets repeated is we were at Thompson and driving the Neon, and I had gone, when you go under the bridge there and then you go around to the left, whatever turn that is. And this car came around me on the left and cut in front of me. And all of a sudden, like, all this crap just hit my windshield. It's like, what the heck? So I radioed back to my crew chief and I said, the car in front of me just like totally threw up on me. he's like, is everything okay? Can you see? And I'm like, well, windshield wipers don't work and I can't really clear the windshield, but I think I'm going to be okay and whatever. And so kept driving and finished my 2-hour stint, got out. And I think I was the last driver of the day, I think, on that particular day. So I got out and I immediately got out of the car and I just grabbed my stuff and I just said to them, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to take a shower. I'm like, I'm out of here. So I go over the bridge, go down, take a shower. And as I'm coming back, I'm crossing back over the bridge. And this guy comes up and he said, are you car 3, the neon? I said, yes. He goes, were you driving that just, like an hour ago? And I said, yeah. He goes, I'm really sorry. He goes, I've had a stomach bug all day and I just couldn't help it. He's like, I had to loosen. And he literally leaned out the window and literally threw up, like
Oh
literally
God.
threw up on my car.
Oh,
But when I radioed in, of course, my crew chief was like, he just thought it meant like the car spewed some stuff. And he's like, oh, whatever. Just, like keep driving, you're fine. So afterwards, when the guy went up while I was in the shower, he went over to our pit and he's like, hey, where's your driver that was just in there? Because I owe him a huge apology. I threw up on his car. And they're like, oh, yeah, what happened? Grease or what? He's like, no, I threw up on your windshield.
oh
So
God.
nobody wanted to clean the car that night. And I was like, I'm out. Like, so anyway, it was kind of a not so funny thing. And I thought, I don't know how this guy got his helmet, head out the window, but
Was his
he
name
did it.
Bruce?
I can't remember his name, but he proceeded to then tell me about the orange
not
Gatorade
nice.
that he had been drinking to calm his stomach, which did not help the visual at all on
Mm-mm.
I was like, oh, so yeah, that was a memorable moment. Our other most memorable moments at Thompson in avoiding the heat is the ice cream shack, of course, over there by the
course.
golf course.
Yeah.
So that's a big positive memory about Thompson.
We didn't realize that was there for the first couple of years.
Only
Oh,
last year we found out about it.
Yeah, I think it was.
So we didn't get a chance to get over there.
I think the other stories are kind of the ones where you're like, you have a situation where you're like, something's not quite right. I don't know what, I'm bringing the car in. And you're like, thank goodness, because, wheel bearings were basically ready to go. Something. And it's just one of those things where you think, oh my gosh, we've been so very fortunate in so many situations. We have not had, accidents and horror stories and things, but it just makes you sort of realize that you're at the mercy of that vehicle and, it's a machine. And so.
So Miss Vicky, you know what she reminded me of?
What's that?
We should replace those windshield wipers on the Civic before New Jersey, just in case.
That would be a very good idea.
Yeah, just in case, extra.
Mm-hmm.
Rain-X only gets rid of so much.
This is true.
I think one of the other kind of going back to your other question is kind of one of the fun things about Lemons is just like for our team, and I'm sure it's for every team, we just have so many little inside jokes or just little things that happen that, like, if you were to tell the story again, people would be like, oh, okay. But at the moment, it was one of those in the moment things. And so we can kind of say to each other, there's any number of little things that all you have to say is like a couple words and we just all crack up because it was just like one of those moment kind of things. I think that was one of the things that was kind of really special about Lemons and the team is that we had a consistent team for a lot of years. And it was just, it was a lot of fun and a lot of great stories coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been a Northeast Lemons driver for most of your time, perhaps even all of your time. If you were to talk to the racers around the country and tell them which race to attend in your home region, which one would it be and why should they come?
I think it would probably have to be Loudon because Thompson is just too hot. It's just tough. And like, I really like the track at Thompson, but even just like the way the pitting is and everything, I don't know, like Loudon just feels like, first of all, the weather is typically better, more manageable.
It's not saying a whole lot, but yes, it is usually
it's
better.
Not saying a whole lot, but I think just in terms of the, even the grounds having a lot of space to kind of, pit and get your RVs and your picnic table and your campground in and just, having hookups, water and whatnot is that
best showers.
What's that?
Best showers I've ever been to at a track.
Yeah. And that women's bathroom over there where the showers are has a heater. So on those cold nights, you just pop over there and kind of get warmed up a little bit. But I think in terms of like the facilities, it's great. I liked New Jersey, but I feel like Loudon's has a little more set up in terms of
Hmm.
kind of creature comforts for, hanging out for the weekend.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Are you close to Loudon?
I'm about 3 hours,
It's not
I
bad.
guess.
It's kind
Yeah.
of like anywhere within a 3 hour radius is pretty much a home track.
Yeah. I mean, we liked going to Jersey, but for us, it's just a trek. And, you get done on Sunday at whatever, 5, 6 o'clock. And,
Yeah.
we're not getting back here till 1 a.m. And,
Hmm.
So
on a
you
Sunday
guys are
night.
north. You guys are up in it. Are you like in New Hampshire or up in
So
the
we're in
upper?
Connecticut.
Okay. On the
So
east side then.
so it's a trek to New Jersey, although we like again, like the area and the course and whatnot, but it's a little harder to consistently get there. Thompson's obviously our backyard, but Loudon is just such an easy,
Hmm.
That's
yeah, like you said,
it's
three
really
hours
funny
easy
because that's
trek.
one of the reasons we don't go to Loudon
Well, and it's
because
during the school year.
yeah, we have,
Uh,
and it's Halloween. So we have kids with Halloween
yeah,
but the trek alone you're right, because we're in Scranton.
yeah,
So
Ish. Yeah.
it's yeah, ish. So it's like a 1 a.m. trek.
yeah,
It's a hard
yeah,
drive.
yeah. That's the same. Yeah, same for us. Yeah, we're the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey to us is like Loudon,
Hmm.
to you. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. Yeah, but you've got this thing in the way of New Jersey. For you, it's called New York City, and you got to get around it somehow. So
Yeah, that's
just
not
remember,
easy
the
on
George
a
Washington Bridge does not exist. It does
no.
not exist.
Nope.
yeah,
Nope.
yeah.
Yeah, yours is a hard drive just to get through that and then getting around through Philly.
Philly's not too bad for her.
Well,
Well,
She
if you hit
stays.
it right, and sometimes we've gone, like we would leave Thursday at like 2 in the afternoon
Hmm.
to try and avoid, but New Jersey requires a lot more logistical planning in that sense than, for us to
mm-hmm.
go, say, to
Right.
Loudon. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I gotcha. So, having done this for, many years, what do you think's the most misunderstood thing about lemons that people think one way and really doesn't reflect what it really is?
Well, I think at the beginning, when you say, they go, well, what's limits? Well, what's this, endurance race for cars valued at $500 or less, exclusive with safety equipment. They go, oh, wow, that sounds great. It'd be so easy. I mean, only $500. I could get a couple friends. Whoa. There's no such thing as $500. So I think the first thing is thinking that like it's this really accessible, like,
You're not
kind of
wrong.
easy thing to do. I think
Worked for me. We got it
yeah, I
started
think
that
that's
way.
the kind of the first thing. And I think too, when people hear endurance or 24 hours, they think, oh, so you're driving for 24 hours. But I think, once people get into it, they get it. But I think at first people are like, oh, it's another thing we can race. Like the point is not, to be Al Unser Jr. That's, it's not the point of lemons. And I think the emphasis on the fun and the quirkiness and the craziness, is that yes, racing is fun and we all want to go out there and, drive fast and take chances, but that it's really about the community and the fun. And so once you get people past it's just an easy $500 weekend
Mm-hmm.
that, and that really is a community. I mean, you guys know, you've been to races, you see the same people, the same people, and it's not something where you're just going to come in and think you're going to conquer all and, walk all over people and move on to whatever the next race is. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the environment.
No.
Yeah, especially with the car counts we get in the Northeast, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, back to the judging alone, when you are watching how the judging system works, beyond just the judging, I mean, there's a lot that seems to happen up there to run cars through, not so much the judging, but you still have to go through tech and you
Yes, tech,
still
yeah.
right. So the level of responsibilities that were on there, is it chaotic? Is it something that I mean, were you there to witness that part of it, or was that not part of your responsibilities doing that?
Yeah. So like on Friday, I'm not doing tech because I'm not a tech expert, but so like at Loudon, you come in and your first stop is tech, and then your next stop is BS. And so I'm at the BS station. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing, even though I don't see and hear everything that's happening in tech, is that, the car's just rolling through kind of on the assembly line. So you see them come in and it's not chaotic at all. I mean, I'm one of the things I've been very impressed with Lemons is sort of the process. And I think a lot of this was changed up due to COVID in terms of how they got people through. And a lot of things that they had to do because of COVID, they've actually maintained because it ended up being more efficient and whatnot. But I think, I have a great deal of confidence both when I was a driver and as a judge, because the folks who know tech and they're efficient, they're getting it done, but they're also not like, oh yeah, check the box, move on. Like they're paying attention to things. They send folks back to make a repair or address an issue if they need to, then they come through BS. And I think, we have enough time to kind of have some fun, a little jocularity around it and, kind of go through the themes and get the full thing without keeping it jammed up that it's, a long process. So I feel like it's really efficient. And the folks who are there, Kim and the whole staff, they do a phenomenal job. Like they know, they've been doing it. So they know what it is. They're real efficient. Everybody's, knowledgeable. And one of the things I found coming in is that, from the beginning, everybody was like, hi, I'm so-and-so. Here's my role on the Lemons team. If you need this, if you need that, here's the contact for this. I had a full contact sheet, and it's amazing if you look at, full contact sheet for who's responsible for what. And there's somebody responsible for everything, so who is, where does the buck stop in terms of whether it's for tech or whether it's for, and I think the other thing is that a lot of folks don't understand or maybe realize or appreciate that you've got corner workers who have a radio and they're radioing to the tower and the tower's radioing down to whoever's manning, the laptop in HQ, and then they're communicating with the judges. So when a car comes in, sometimes I have to say, okay, passing under yellow. Okay. Oh, contact, what corner, who did it? What was the information? Feeding the information back and forth because the corner workers want to know, hey, is this same car number 497 being a problem in all the corners, or is it just that they don't know how to manage my corner? So there's a lot of communication back and forth, and it's a pretty amazing dance, really, of communication, making sure that we know what's going on, not just sort of randomly pulling somebody off because it's like the corner worker's not really sure what happened, or it's hard because there was a lot of stuff going on at the same time. And so lots and lots of communication. And I think at the end of it, communication and knowing that somebody is responsible for something and that they own that. And if there's a decision to be made, I got a cheat sheet that tells me, who do you talk to over a certain issue. So, the first time I judged, I said, okay, when we're checking before cars go on track, this is what we're checking. Here's the 9-point checklist of, helmet sticker and, windshield sticker and belts and shoes and, and all of that. So it's really good because they have a bunch of checklists and they train everybody on it, and you know what you're doing and you know what you're empowered to do. And I guess just having raced, you kind of know what to expect when you get pulled into HQ for passing under yellow or 2 off, 4 off, whatever. So yeah, it is not chaotic though.
It seems like a very well-oiled machine behind the scenes to make it look easy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
To make it seem seamless, but it's not seamless. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes in that we just don't see.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we, during the weekend, we have to ask people like, hey, you're here for the weekend having fun. And this is all, there's a lot of hilarity and whatnot. But these folks sitting at this table or, at the corner workers or, Kim sitting at the table or different people, is that they have a really important job. And so sometimes we need to say, hold time out, like save the jocularity or the joke for a moment because we have something that needs to be addressed. And making sure that that's a priority. Again, the safety is a priority, but plenty of room for fun and lemony stuff, within that.
Did you enjoy it your first time out with the with the judging?
I did. Like I said, it was fun to actually see all the themes and see all the cars come through and kind of chat with people where normally you're like, yeah, okay, sure. Hey, can we borrow a screwdriver?
Right.
Like it's usually in a kind of different format. And or under the influence of alcohol later in the evening.
What? At a lemons race? Really?
Yeah, there's like two different people who
Yeah, I know that guy. I know that guy. Yeah.
So it was so that was really fun. And it was nice too, because, first time I didn't know what to expect in terms of, like, when I was racing, I would sometimes go down to HQ to just kind of check stuff out and like hang out for a few minutes, but you really don't see the scope of what's going on down there,
Mhm.
And so I think not really knowing like what's going to be like. Is it going to be busy at HQ, or is it going to be kind of quiet? And it goes through phases. Like, you'll have a time where you're like, all of a sudden 6 cars are in, and then, nothing for a while. Or it's like, gee, why do we have so many cars with this issue? But it was fun. And I think one of the great things is that, when somebody would get black flagged and they don't come in, they aren't like screaming at you or like, oh, I didn't. Well, nobody did it. But people are, for the most part, pretty cool about it. They will listen and understand, and they just want to get back on the track, so they do what they need to do, and for the most part, like, move on.
So, I mean, we've been to several race series, but what is it about lemons? Because you're right, there is a community about it, and there is a jovialness about it that keeps it light. But what is the magic sauce that does that?
Well, I think part of it is, the message that Jay and his team send down, and that is that, we like weirdos, we like, all this craziness and hilarity, but don't be a jerk, be safe. Like, that comes through like loud and clear. And I think when I first started racing, like, I really didn't know, gee, if we have an issue and we need to borrow something, or if we whatever, are people gonna be like, well, no, because then you might get a step up on us, or you might, and it's not that way at all. I mean, I think just that whole sense of community of like, oh yeah, we have a jack or an engine lift, or well, nobody has a number 10 socket, but whatever, like, yeah, we'll share that. And I think just helping people out. And I think everybody wants to see everybody have a good experience, because if you win the race, but it was a crappy weekend, who cares, right? So I think just the way that, this is basically the way it's been created, and the folks who are involved, whether it's staff, judging, whatever, it's really just been reinforced that we're having fun, but we're going to do it in a safe, non-jerky kind of way. And nobody wants to spend their weekend, all their time, money, and energy being around people who are making us all miserable, or putting us at risk, or those kinds of things. And I think having that mindset and just constantly reinforcing that, and making sure that the people who are there are consistent, with that same vision, makes the community.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, also when it comes to an element that comes in that is dangerous, or that is aggro, or I think the community itself shuts it down.
Yeah, I think
this is not the place for that. If you want to do that, you need to move on.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen situations where, like, maybe if one team says to another, or goes to, whether the judges, to say, hey, look, this thing's going on, it feels a little not cool, not dangerous, we're not comfortable with this, that, there's been a good response to that. And I think it's, in my experience, it's been a rare thing. And sometimes it's not because somebody's a jerk, but it's because they're inexperienced.
Right.
And so maybe they're trying to keep up with the next guy, and they don't understand that they're taking a risk that they are not prepared for, based in terms of their own race experience, or, just confidence in their race experience, that, sometimes that's the conversation, is that all you need to do is go out and run your race. Your job is not to chase down Scooby-Doo or anybody else. Your job is to run your race.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some people, if you look at it like whatever level you're at, it doesn't matter if you're like towards the top, or towards the middle, or towards the beginning. The biggest problem you can have is when you're racing at a level above where you're actually at.
Yeah. And I think one of the ways that Lemons is really good about putting the focus on the right thing is that, the biggest prize in terms of, money, trophy, whatever, is not the person who wins A class, right? Like, like IOE or some of the Judge's Choice or those kinds of things, is that, you're getting recognized or honored for things of like coming in with the right kind of spirit and attitude and effort and that kind of thing. And so it's not just like, hey, we're going to create a system where the focus is on winning a class.
Mm-hmm.
There's multiple ways of winning. Speed is not the only one. It's definitely not the most important one.
Mm-mm.
So that's awesome. Miss Vicky, I think we did it.
I think we did.
I know.
Woohoo!
I think I told you you shouldn't be worried about this. It's fine.
I was terrified.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm sorry I'm so intimidating. It's terrible. Something I'm working on, but we'll see there. So if people want to keep up with you or keep up with your team, your former team, how would they do that to keep up with you? And who will be judging with you at your next race, I believe, at Thompson?
At Thompson, I believe it is, now that you ask me, I'm blanked on his name. He's from Connecticut. And oh my gosh, this is embarrassing that I can't think of his name, but I can totally picture him. Anyway, a really cool guy who you all know.
Does he wear a kilt?
Is it Chris? Is it Chris and Manny?
It's Manny. I don't know if Chris also, definitely Manny. Yes.
Okay. Manny.
Does Manny wear a kilt? I've not seen Manny.
No.
I was going to say. No.
Manny wears whatever Manny wants to wear. I'm not messing with Manny.
I'll see it. So it'll be Manny in Connecticut, or in Thompson. And actually it will be in Loudon, a woman who I have never met before. And I'm looking forward to meeting and having some fun with. So so that'll be cool.
Be fun.
You think you might have found your secondary niche in lemons?
I might have. I mean, it's so funny to like on Saturday night, like go back to the hotel with the staff and be like, oh, I don't have to go shake out a shower in a,
You don't have to fix any car.
Don't have to fix anything, and I'm not all dusty and greasy and dirty.
In a proper shower and a proper soft bed.
Proper shower. I don't have to make dinner for anybody. But it's a trade-off, because part of it is the, just Friday night hanging around the fire and thinking about what the weekend's going to be and hanging out with the team and stuff. So that was definitely, although the caddy was there and I got to see those guys a little bit, but definitely miss, that sort of team community, miss those guys. But yeah, it was fun. It was a whole new adventure, and I'm looking forward to the races this year and to see what other kind of adventures we're going to have.
There you go.
That sounds fantastic. Well, Vicky and I won't personally be attending Thompson this year. We will have 2 cars there from the team, and then I will be at New Hampshire for a one of the first times we haven't been there in pre-plague days.
Yeah. So in the before times.
That's right. Well, thank you for coming on, Miss. It was great fun. And hopefully everybody knows to bring Reese's cups for you, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Reese's cups, Reese's pieces, anything with peanut butter and chocolate.
It was funny because I saw on Facebook today, somebody posted, they said, we're going to I don't know what race it was. And what does everybody think are good bribes for them? And I was like, we better find out who your judges are, because if they're allergic to peanuts and you bring them Reese's, it's gonna be trouble. And I'm going to have to eat all the Reese's. That's just the way it goes.
But luckily, you are willing to take this on as a job for yourself and cover your fellow judges. So, I mean, a noble effort.
One of the very many selfless things that I would do for others.
Exactly. Well, we can only say thank you.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing you at New Hampshire. And thanks for the conversation. It was great to meet you guys, and hang out for a little bit.
Look forward to seeing you in person sometime.
Yes. Absolutely.
I think we have. I think we camped next to them one year at Thompson.
Could have.
I remember for sure. Right on the bend.
We're on the bend.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh yeah, on the bend.
Yeah. Well, have a great night, Miss. Thank you.
Thanks. You too. Take care. Bye-bye.